Ni kwako Brian George Otieno ukiwa studio.
Well, thanks my colleague William Wege for that. Let me now give you a bit of numbers on the situation of underemployment in Kenya. And of course, we are looking at the status of employment, and if you or any other person out there who is contributing to our economy's workforce, if they are maximizing on their potential. Let me now give you those numbers. Now, 9 million people aged between 18 to 35 to be added to the Kenyan population between 2015 and 2025. Of course, this is according to a World Bank report of 2020. And then of this, to meet this job demands, Kenya needs to produce at least 900,000 jobs annually to sustain this kind of unemployment rate. But then those who are employed, Kenya currently, of course, creates about 800,000 jobs annually. There is a deficit of 100,000. Steve will tell us about that. 80% of those who are employed have informal jobs. And in these job situations, they are either unpaid or self-employed, or the wage worker without social security. They do not have basic stuff like NSSF, NHIF, and the like. And then the government remains the biggest employer in the formal sector. Remember, last week we cast aspersions to that, and of course how to increase the private sector's ability to employ more people. And then an increasing number of those in informal sector are college graduates. A very telling statement right there. 2.62 million Kenyans were not employed by 2019. This is now according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. A bit more of numbers and data on the same. Only 2.7 million Kenyans were in occupations with contractual terms. And then 23.9 million people aged above 15 years are trained and qualified in various vocations, but few were in wage employment. Gentleman, lady, Martha Mushiri, and of course Steve Obiro from the Federation of Kenya Employers, head of policy right there. They are here with me to dot the I's and cross the T's on this one. Good to see you once again, my good guests. I'll start with you, Martha. And of course, you've had the sentiments from Kenyans. But then, what is the book definition of underemployment? What should a Kenyan know underemployment is?
Thank you. Thank you, Brian, for having me here today. I would like to state that underemployment is a state of having not working on a full-time basis, where you have the capacity to work on full-time, or maybe persons who have the training and education but are working on a job that is not matching the education or their skills, and also at the same time the job they are serving is not serving their financial needs. That's what we call underemployment.
Amazing. I feel like you're talking about me right there, because I did tourism management and now I'm in the newsroom. Very interesting. My colleague Abiagina asked a question earlier on about a banker or a person who's trained as an engineer working as a bank teller. We'll talk about that later on. But Steve, what are some of the most rampant or the most common underemployment cases in the country today?
Our economy is highly informal. And the people who are in the informal sector, most of them, we have graduates there. People who have trained to be engineers, people who have trained to do different, some of them are even trained teachers and all that. So that is one form of, the biggest form of underemployment, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. Then the other challenge that we see is in the formal sector, where we have jobs that require perhaps somebody who with a certificate, and we are seeing people who have degrees, who have diplomas, who have a master's degree going for those jobs. Some of the jobs can be clerical type of jobs. We have degree holders who are in security, private security providers, looking at the security area. So such a kind of jobs is what we call unemployment. You are in a job which your skills demand for a higher type of work, but you are doing a lesser work, or you have a lot of hours with you. You want to work for 8 hours, but you can only get a job for 2 hours, so you are underemployed.
Great. Steve, I want to stay with you on this one. And you are the head of policy at the Federation of Kenya Employers, and you have pointed out quite well that it is not just a phenomenon that's unique to Kenya alone, but in Africa at large, and perhaps some countries too are experiencing the same. Somebody is trained in maybe in the medical field, but they opt to go to do sales and such kind of things. I've had such kind of illustrations before. Why is this happening, Steve?
Brian, three factors happen. Generally, one of the factors is where we parents choose what the children should study.
Of course.
And you're just pushing, and then we have education system which is not looking at where the interest of this child is. You've passed your KCC, you have an A, you've gone to do medicine. Perhaps your interest were in a different area. You went for tourism. Is it what you chose to do or what you found yourself doing? That can cause underemployment.
True.
But outside that is also the structure of our economy. How are we producing jobs? If we are training, our training and skills development policy or approach is more supply oriented. We are not training for what the labor market needs. We are training for the sake of training.
For the sake of training.
We don't sit down and project and say in the 10 years to come, these are the number of engineers we need, these are the number of doctors we need, these are the number of accountants we need, these are the number of lawyers we need, and because we need this number, because of how the economy is growing, we are going to train those numbers. We just train because we have to train. So until we are able to match the demand of skills, what the labor market needs now and in the future, with also the way we train, we are going to have underemployment. The other way is how our economy is creating jobs. If you look at our job creation, are we industrialized countries? Are we a manufacturing base? We are not. We are not.
We are largely a service industry.
Yes, we are not creating quality jobs.
Okay.
Yes, if we are, if our jobs is in marketing other people's products, then it means we'll get goods from China and start hawking them. So you'll go to university, have your 4-year, 5-year, 6-year degree, come back and start hawking those goods, because that's how the structure of our market is. And this is an issue as a federation. We started talking about it some time back, way down. I remember in 2016, our executive director, Madam Jacqueline Mugo, talking about it, saying, wait a minute, what are we seeing in the economy? We can't have an economy where we say 843,000 jobs have been created, and only 73,000 of those are in the modern private sector or formal sector, and 84% of the jobs you get them in the informal sector.
True.
And yet, if you look at the kind of people that are graduating or entering the labor market, there are 1.2 million. So what do you do with these people? And you have only created less than 100,000 jobs. These people will get themselves in. They are doing the jobs, not necessarily what they are trained for, what their skills are, but because that's they have to survive. It is life, you have to survive.
And of course, when many jobs are in the informal sector, there is very little mechanisms of monitoring, evaluation, and of course appraisal. We'll talk about that too. Martha, I want to come to you. Steve has laid the premise pretty well. What is the effect of this on the Kenyan citizenry?
The effect of this, we can see, is most of the time you find most Kenyans are living below poverty line, because you will find that at the end of the day, you have this job, you serve this job for 2 hours, the wage you're taking home or the salary you're taking home is below par. So at the end of the day, you'll only utilize this salary in only the basic needs of the family. So for you to stretch your arm and do extra things, you're not able to. In case you want to invest, you cannot invest. In case you want to do maybe personal development, going back to school, you cannot do that. So the other effect you find is that you find that the organizations are not able to also expand as well, because you'll find that with the constraints that are there in the market, there's something we call like the recycle of the market, business cycle. This business cycle, you find the labor market they are getting is below par. And when they go out there to look for the best, they're not getting the best.
Wow, quite a telling picture right there. So Martha, let's get to solutions now. How do we solve this? How do we solve the underemployment situation in the country?
The bigger percentage starts with the government, and the government has to come in, look at the regulations they are putting in place for businesses to thrive, for the private sector as well to thrive, whereby we won't only be having Kenyans only chasing for the government jobs. And when the private sector has expanded, more opportunities will open up, and people will also be able to match their skills and their education with the upcoming market. And the next thing that can be done is personality development. As a person, if you feel that you are underemployed, what do you do with yourself? You must equip yourself in the level of the market. You ought to look at what is the weakness that is coming on board. So you do have to go back and do personal development. Yes, do another course that is in line with what you're currently doing, so that when that other job that is in line with what you're looking for comes on board, you're already equipped for that bigger position.
Steve, I'll give you an opportunity to do a rejoinder on that, but then how does somebody find satisfaction? How do you go from underemployment to a job you deserve as a Kenyan, particularly in this economy? Go ahead.
First, for you to move from the job you are not feeling comfortable with what you want, the initiative starts with you, because it's you who knows what you want. The market will give you whatever that is available. Now, depending on how your attitude is and what you value in life and all that, you will be able to decide how you move. But the economy, the market, gives you what is available. That's the Kenyan market, that's the African market. What you desire is up to you to create it. It's up to you to look for it.
It is intrinsic.
Yes, it is you. Brand, it's you who look to come here. Even when you did tourism and you felt like, I want to be a journalist, I want to be an anchor.
Yes.
The initiative started with you.
Yes.
So it is you to look for where you have the opportunity and where you are more satisfied.
Definitely.
Yes.
Great. I want to give you 30 seconds each on this last question. Your takeaway to employers on underemployment.
The employers, we are having our conference on the 4th and on the 3rd and 4th of March in Mombasa at White Sands, where the employers, not only from Africa, from Kenya, but from the whole of Africa, we are going to join together and be able to discuss what we can do to ensure that we adapt, we get our economies adapt in this changing labor market. And the one thing we know as employers, that as long as government facilitates and provides the right kind of working environment, the right kind of business environment, then we have the capacity to create employment. What we are talking about as underemployment is largely contributed because of the kind of policies that we have in place. The policies are stifling the private sector operations. There are more policies that are more punitive to the private sector operations. Whether you look at how we are advancing our social development, or how the philosophy behind our taxes, it is always depressing to the companies. But that can change. Africa has a great opportunity in the integration. What is driving the informality and even the low pay is not that the employers want to pay that low pay or want to put you at that job that is not of high quality, but it's because, one, they can't access the big markets where they can make more money and be able to pay you more money. I had a statement like the unemployment is because of the employers paying low pay. It's not that way. Pay is pegged on productivity. Our productivity is still low. If you look at the informal sector, is low productivity, low pay area. We need to improve our productivity, and productivity improvement comes with linkage to markets, understanding the standards that are needed in those markets, and being able to adopt them in the country and ensuring that our people are producing in that way. So this is a conversation we are having on 3rd and 4th of March at White Sands, Mombasa.
Amazing.
So we welcome all the employers to come.
Keep us updated. We want to communicate that. Martha, we should have more time for you to have your last word, but my director tells me time is up. And that's why we end it right here on Underemployment.